All right. So, yeah, we're gonna record a little campaign diary. Let's do that. Hello, my name is Alex Ermgatz, and after watching countless of these videos on YouTube, I figured I would chronicle my current D&D campaign through um, through campaign diaries. So that that's what we're doing today. I'm gonna mainly be doing these kind of unscripted, and then I'll edit them down, and I'm gonna try and do them session by session. Um, on the Monday after we play Saturday nights, me and a bunch of friends from around the world. I will be updating uh, based on many things. I didn't think I would need to do one of these for session zero because it was mainly learning to use Fantasy Grounds. We used Fantasy Grounds for our game. It was a lot of learning to do Fantasy Grounds. I guess I did 3 session zeros, which seems a bit excessive, but the first session, it was all really just learning to do Fantasy Grounds. The rule system we're using, Old School Essentials, is, this may look complicated and complex and yada yada yada, but it is really simple, at least compared to, I feel compared to 5e. It's able to put everything in a very concise format and has excellent layout to make the rules very easy to understand. So that session zero was mainly, let's use this time to learn how to use Fantasy Grounds, and that's mainly what it was used for. Let's learn to make a character in Fantasy Grounds. This is how you roll dice in Fantasy Grounds. And then I did 2 mock combats. One mock combat, or I guess a danger room, if you're familiar with that from the X-Men, or the recapitulating of that term through Matthew Colville. A danger room is basically, it's a mock combat. You run your players through a non-canon combat for a chance to learn how to use the rules and things like that. So that was the main purpose behind those 3 session zeros. I had to do 2 because we were missing one of our players, and I wanted everybody to be sort of familiar with how combat worked, which luckily for Old School Essentials is fairly similar to 5th edition. And if typically you're using a side-based initiative in Old School Essentials, but I'm opting for that because that's what Fantasy Grounds defaulted to, and I figured it would smooth the transition from 5e. So our first game began. Three of our characters meet in a tavern. They meet the tavern keep, a woman named Giselle, although I don't think they ever asked for her name. And they talk with Giselle a little bit, and she brings up, there's work in town for adventurers like you if you are looking for work. And at that moment, one of the players who was late showed up and immediately got thrown through a window, which was a nice inciting incident, as it let me kind of have Giselle be like, all right, you guys, yeah, I already gave you guys the tip for work. He's going to go and get money to repair our window. And that sort of tied the party together. They got some information about this haunted house that is about a mile out from town, and it said that there are strange lights in there and people hear noises, and it was overall just bad. We don't want a haunted house in our town. So they then go to the haunted house and begin to explore, checking really just the main foyer and kind of opening different doors, seeing what's up here. They found a big spider, like probably a hand-sized spider. Then in a random encounter with a swarm of flying ants, they meet this armored knight who's been living in this house, and that was our 5th PC, which the players don't know this, but that PC, or at least they have not revealed it, that PC is one of the Dragon Knights of the old king, who is dead now. This conqueror has just come in and killed the king, and everything's sort of falling to chaos while this lawful king oversees and kind of keeps tabs on everybody. And a lot of this set up from Matthew Colville and Orden and Vesloria. They assumed wrongly that the Dragon Knight was the source of the alleged hauntings. So they immediately assumed, oh, we can just go back. We bring this guy. They wanted to also bring some sort of like record that they had been there, and I didn't really correct them on that, but I could have been like, guys, it's like a mile from town. They're just gonna walk out there after you guys come back and be like, hey, yeah, we'll just walk back with us and we'll check. The barbarian wanted to lift a door off of its hinges, and he also thought he could drag an entire desk back to town. That's a mile of dragging a desk, and even if you have a strength of 16, that's outside the realm of, I think, possibility. Like in old school Centrals, your characters aren't superheroes. Uh, they're your first level character is only merely better, like marginally better than a peasant. Like I think the illusionist in the party has less hit points than a normal human peasant. Yeah, if you die, you die. That's sort of the vibe that I'm going for. It's possible for characters to be super weak, and if you play smart, you can avoid combat. You don't have to. You do not have to get into situations in which your character is going to die. So the party brings this dragon knight, this unbeknownst to them dragon knight, back to town, and the town is sort of like, all right, there was a weird man living in the haunted house. That were you the one causing all the light disturbances? And the dragon knight, played by my friend Corbin, Corbin was like, I don't know anything about a light disturbance, because we kind of talked about like why he was living there separately. It's important to communicate that with your players. I had talked to Corbin about the things that his knight would know living here. He's been here, he's been kind of eating rats, and then, like, if he has a chance to, typically at night, he'll go out and hunt. And the flashing lights typically came at night. Actually, it's always at night. People have no clue what this is, and the knight hasn't been there. Sir Vervidox has not been there when this flashing is going on. He hasn't seen it. So he was like, "Yeah, I have no clue what is going on in that house." And they're like, "That's strange. Let's go back to the house." They go back to the house, and lo and behold, they go and check a room that the party didn't even think to check. And in there is a human man tied up, his feet and hands manacled, and his mouth bound and gagged with a cloth. They go and untie him, and they're like, "What? Who are you? Why are you here?" And he's like, "My name is Thomas. I've been hit on the head." And from that description of the adventure and the current happenings in the campaign so far, just in session one, you may have already assumed the adventure I'm starting with, and that is the sinister secret of Saltmarsh. We're in a lakeside town that I've renamed Saltmarsh to Durstburg, because I thought it sounded suitably sad. Durstburg is famous for its lake herring, uh, pickled radishes, and beets, and its tanneries. So the place reeks of leatherwork, fish, and root vegetables. And I thought that was a suitable combination of just like the players don't want to stay here because there is adventure to be had elsewhere in the barony that they are in. The party has found Thomas here in this dilapidated house up in this bedroom, and he's claiming to have been imprisoned here by something, and which is a terrible cover-up plan for what Thomas is really planning. He is a plant from the local government of Durstburg. One of the town council members has planted him. The town council member is operating a smuggling ring out of this house. Deep in the cellar of this house, there are secret doors to be found, and beyond those secret doors are an alchemist's laboratory, and then the base that the smugglers are using. They're smuggling. I haven't read that far ahead in the adventure, but they are smuggling something in there. Probably alchemist supplies or some sort of illicit material. I'll make a decision on that probably this weekend as the players will be heading downstairs. The players were supposed to find Thomas before they went back to town. Thomas was supposed to travel with them and try and dissuade them from exploring anywhere further in the house. He was sort of this this last minute plan that was sprung by this local government official to keep the players from discovering the smuggling ring. But it is this poor planning on the government official's part that Thomas is basically going to lead the players right to the smuggling ring. I don't necessarily know how I feel about that because it kind of makes the bad guy, the government official, kind of seem dumb. But I also think it is sort of realistic to think, oh, if I send uh, this guy Thomas, who's a third level assassin, by the way, he's able to, through the rules of the game, assassinate a character, which means rolling to hit. If he hits, the character they're trying to assassinate makes a death save, which I think for a first level character is going to be probably 12. It's going to be, you need to hit a 12 or a 13. And if they fail, that character's dead. They're just dead. And there's nothing that they can do about that, which is by design in Old School Essentials. It's part of the game, that sort of save or die, old school kind of mechanic. It's the reason I've chosen this game. I kind of like it, especially for lower level characters. I think it I think it's fun. The party has found Thomas, and his original plan was to try and lead them away from downstairs. But Thomas is just going to go back with the other government officials that the players have brought with them, which means the players are going to kind of have to search around themselves, and if they don't find anything, then they're moving on. And I need to then plan what does this smuggling ring do if they're not found, as opposed to if they are found. The Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh, for being an AD&D adventure, does not provide a lot of treasure to the players, as far as I can tell. It's supposed to be an adventure for 1 to 3, at least in the within the parts that I have prepped, which is the first floor and second floor of the house. There's not a lot of treasure there, and if you know anything about Old School Essentials, your XP is based on how much gold you find. So the players might get out of this adventure and just be underleveled. They do have a reward waiting for them, which will get them at least some XP. I hope for this adventure to at least level them up once, as combat encounters don't really give a whole lot of XP. I think they were able to drive off that swarm of insects, which was a 2 hit dice creature. It had, I think, around 14 hit points, but because it's a swarm, it's very difficult to attack. And they ended up using an illusion spell, or illusionist, the 1 hit point James Devil, uh, used their single illusionist spell, Phantasmal Force, to trick the bugs into thinking that the house was on fire, and so the bugs fled because of that. And I think each player got like 20 experience points from that, and you need around 1,000 to level up at the very least. So I won't be surprised if next session we end up having to deal with James Devil, unfortunately passing away due to rot grubs that they're going to encounter downstairs in the basement, if they end up getting that far. And later on, I think there's a battle on a pirate ship, which should be exciting, and prove tactically interesting, as the players have the option of straight up lighting the ship on fire. It's a smuggler's ship, but it's made out of wood. Next week should be pretty exciting, as the party gets to go downstairs. They're going to probably be finding their first magic items soon. They're going to kind of look around, I'd imagine upstairs, or they might just immediately head downstairs, as Thomas will. They'll probably ask Thomas where he got hit on the head, not like the location on his head, but where in the house he got hit on the head. And I think Thomas is smart. Thomas will probably say, he'll either feign amnesia or he'll say upstairs somewhere. As he can talk about how he followed a footprint track, which I think Thomas will think is a good lie, but the party has a ranger. They have Owen Zerakanterman, the dwarvish ranger, who will probably go investigate those tracks. He tried to do it earlier, without being like, I want to look for tracks. If he had said, I want to look for tracks, I would have him roll for looking for tracks, but he just wanted to investigate the room. I think he specifically wanted to look for traps with a P, which is a separate role in Old School Essentials. Rangers have the ability to look for tracks with a CK. but Owen wanted to look for traps with a P and did not find any tracks or traps. None at all. And so there are many ways that this could go down, but hopefully the next session is a bit more exciting. We'll see if James Devil survives. He has 1 hit point, and there is, yeah, really no way to. There's really no way to improve your hit points in Old School Essentials aside from leveling up, and you need to, survive to do that. So we'll see if our good friend James Devil survives, and we'll see how willing the barbarian is to give up their cash to fix the window. I think that's all for now. I'll catch you guys next week.